Thank you, thank you, thank you. We should give yet again tremendous applause to Lencia Henry for her exceptional talent that she has displayed here today. And also, of course, to Miss Willett and all of the young ladies and young men who have been supporting them during the period so far. Comrades, I'm still here. I am still here. By the grace of God, I am still here. We are still here. By the grace of God, we are still here this afternoon. Comrades, I want in particular to join with our conference chairperson, the Honorable Marcella Althea Liebert. Give her a tremendous round of applause. I want to join her and in my own way welcome you to this conference. This, the 81st anniversary conference of the great St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. And of course, although I wish to adopt the protocol, permit me please, ladies and gentlemen and comrades, to recognize, of course, a number of persons, especially the Honorable Dr. Earl Assim Martin, the Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, and all other ministers of government who are here with us this afternoon. We recognize as well the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Curtis Martin, and our distinguished ambassadors and other members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps who are here with us this afternoon. Of course, all senior government officials, the executive members of the party, and also of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union, our representatives of the business community, and those who are delegates who have come in from overseas, and our specially invited guest, in particular, the three children of our passing great leaders who have served this country and this party with distinction. I want us to give yet again a tremendous applause to Prudence France, the daughter of Sir Joseph, to Etsu Bradshaw, the daughter of Sir Robert, and to Poisey Southwell, the son of Sir Paul. Let us give them all tremendous applause for being here with us this afternoon. And I want to commend in particular the organizers of this conference, who saw the wisdom, maybe for the first time in the history of our party's celebration at conference, but the wisdom of deciding not to have a guest speaker today at party conference, but to bring instead the three children of our national heroes. Let us give the organizers tremendous applause. because they saw the wisdom of making this conference different. It must have been a family affair. It must be one where we, knowing where we have come from, what we have achieved, and the setbacks that we've had in recent time, did not wish to have any foreigner here with us. We wanted our very own. And I want to thank our organizers for successfully transforming the presentation of this conference to what it has been so far. Comrades, I too would like to join with the conference chair in recognizing our stalwarts who are not with us today, those who have served and served with distinction, but because of their ailments, they preferred to remain at their homes, with their children, however, turned on the computers that we have given to them in their homes and are completely in tune with what is happening here at the Marriott today. We want to recognize them and those who are abroad, who could not be here physically with us, but I know who are well in tune and they have followed every minute so far of this conference. I want to apologize, however, to those of you who are standing. When we planned to have this conference, and when the Marriott came to us some nearly 10 years ago, and they said that they would have had a grand ballroom, never did we dream that a party conference would not, or this ballroom, I should say, would not be able to hold the members and delegates at this conference today. And so we send a signal to Marriott and to other hoteliers in the future. We need a conference hall, a grand ballroom that will hold more than 700 delegates of Labour conference in the future to come. Because so far, they've counted over 700 delegates here this afternoon. And so I apologize to those of you who are standing and to say next time we shall make it good. Comrades, our citizens and our friends in particular, I want to greet you at this, the 81st conference of our great Labour Party, with an immense sense of joy and optimism. Our country has been navigating the worst global economic environment since the Great Depression of 1929. And yet, under the leadership of Labour, we have been moving forward steadfastly as a nation, and holding fast to our goal of progress and prosperity for all of our people. Our great party has had to cope with some of the most divisive forces that have confronted it over its long and distinguished history. But we are now ready to root and to throw out the seeds of disunity that have been sown among us by betrayers of the cause of Labour, and to move forward as a united and powerful party to secure the understanding and also the understanding of our people, and thus an outstanding victory that we have achieved back in 2010. I want to emphasize that we have survived because Labour is strong. Labour is big. Labour is powerful. Labor is unstoppable. They cannot stop us. We shall continue to move. As I said on Wednesday at the press conference, we may simmer it down, but we ain't going to stop. We will continue to move forward on our mission. And to a large extent, we are big, we are unstoppable because of the work that has been done by the stalwarts of labor, because of the work that has been done by the resilience of the labor women, and because of the vision and the activities and the restlessness of our young labor. Let us give them all tremendous applause this morning, this afternoon, for the support that they have provided. Indeed, the determination and the will of the people of this country was clearly evident on Labor Day, when you turned out in your huge numbers, thousands, embraced the abundant showers of rain sent by the Almighty, first to cleanse away the nonsense that went on at the graves of our national heroes the early Saturday morning, Sunday morning. And then, of course, the showers of blessings that kept us cool, that demonstrated your own resolve to defy an attempt to steal your government and express definitively and overwhelmingly your full confidence in labor. Full confidence not only in the general leadership of labor, but full confidence in the labor government. The labor government that you chose and mandated to continue on the path of social and economic transformation. Comrades, friends, and citizens, our performance as a nation in recent years is nothing short of miraculous. Indeed, the financial strides that our economy has made in the midst of the economic malaise that has gripped the world has drawn great commendations regionally and internationally as well. And this has resulted in the designation of our country no longer as a middle-income country, but as a high-income country these days. And so this places us in the highest categories of countries based on the income criteria established and used by the World Bank and other international financial institutions. Of course, we are also among the top performers in the world in relation to the Human Development Index published by the United Nations. I want to emphasize that the International Monetary Fund concluded their periodic assessment of our economy as recently as last week. And the conclusion is the same as other assessments in recent years. St. Kitts-Nevis, it continues to meet or surpass the economic and financial targets it has set for itself and agreed with the International Monetary Fund. Indeed, almost every economic indicator is moving in the right direction. Inflation has dropped from 2.8% in 2011 to 1.3%, and now in 2012 it is really virtually zero. Our imputed international reserves had increased by an impressive 54 million in 2012. But this has jumped already dramatically by an even more impressive $100 million in the first 2 months of 2013 alone. our banking sector. It remains resilient, and this has been confirmed by stress tests recently carried out by the IMF on our banks here in St. Kitts-Nevis. The liquidity of the banking sector remains high as deposits continue to grow. To cater against shock to the banking sector that might have resulted from the global financial crisis, we had asked the IMF to provide funds for us to set up a banking sector reserve fund in order to enable us to provide support to our banks and protect the deposits of our people if this became necessary at all. Today, I am pleased to report and announce that to date, no bank in our federation has found it necessary to draw on any money from this fund. In other words, the fund remains untouched because not even a penny has been drawn from it. This is confidence that has returned to the economy of St. Kitts-Nevis. I also wanted to notice the approach of your government. We do not wait on crises and then run around in a panic to secure funds. We develop concrete plans to deal with contingencies, and we act preemptively even when we believe the likelihood of a crisis is minimal. And so in this regard, we intend to collaborate with the SIDF to establish a contingency fund to provide enhanced security for our people in the event of natural disasters or any other contingency. This will become essential because, as a high-income country, we are now unlikely to have access to development assistance, and we must demonstrate an even higher degree of self-resilience and also self-reliance. However, there is no better way of enhancing our security and mitigate the risk we face than to manage our affairs so that our books are kept in balance and that we accumulate money on the banks, especially in periods where we are spared natural disasters and similar calamities. We are therefore very pleased that our overall fiscal balance has moved far beyond the floor of $11 million agreed to with the IMF some 18 months ago, to reach now a surplus of $76 million. This is full confidence. We have cleared all of our arrears, locally and also internationally. We have eliminated the overdraft of the federal government, and we have now accumulated in its place very healthy, positive bank balances. This is again confidence returning to our economy. Comrades, citizens and friends, I again emphasize that with such performance, it is not surprising that each time I meet some of my own colleague heads of government from around the region and the world, they continue to express surprise at the political gymnastics that we have seen in our country in recent months. Each time I have had to say to them that the gymnastics they have to do with our parliament, not with our people, not with the citizens of St. Kitts-Nevis, because we have intelligent and sensible citizens who refuse to be manipulated or fooled. Our people understand what is happening around the world, and they are able to compare the economic circumstances in St. Kitts-Nevis with the conditions elsewhere in the world, and they are able to appreciate immense value of the effective, dynamic, and strategic leadership of the Labour government here in St. Kitts-Nevis. I want to say to you that you do not probably understand what we have been through over the last few months. We could not have done it alone as a government. I, Denzil Douglas, could not have done it alone as the Prime Minister. I needed someone like Dr. Asim Martin as my Deputy Prime Minister. I needed the Honorable Marcella Liburn as my Minister of Health and Social Development. I needed my Minister of Information, Technology, Youth and Post, the Honorable Glenn Ghost Phillip. I needed him. I needed my Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet. I needed the Honorable Ricky Scarrett, our Minister of Tourism and International Transport. I needed them. And I now need the Honorable Mr. Hamilton, Jason Hamilton. Give them all tremendous applause for the work that they have done. But I'm not finished. I needed, in particular, the feared Senator, the Honorable Nigel Carty. Put your hands together for all of them. Comrades, this is the team. This is the feared team. And we shall not be stopped. We shall not be stopped. We shall continue to move forward. Comrades, I want to emphasize that moreover, each time they are given the opportunity, each time our people are given the opportunity to show solidarity with this team, whether at our functions or public meetings, or our rally or our march, they come out in huge numbers to express their full confidence in your Labour leaders. Full confidence in the social and economic transformation that your Labour government is spearheading here in our beloved Federation, with full confidence in Labour. Comrades, citizens and friends, your confidence in us is well placed. We are now focusing on growth, and the IMF has confirmed just last week that economic recovery is now at hand. Indeed, just the private projects alone, and I'll name them in a minute, just the private projects alone that are being implemented are likely to result in a significant elevation in our growth rate here in St. Kitts-Nevis. I speak of the ongoing Kittian Hill project down there in the Whitegate area. I speak of the ongoing Sundance Ridge there in the Southeast Peninsula. I speak of Silver Reef in Frigate Bay. I speak of Christophe Harbour, also down there in the Southeast Peninsula. I speak of Imperial Bay, beach and golf residences, which has now started down there in the Half Moon Bay area. I speak of the Golden Rock Commercial Park that is taking place in Connery to ensure that Connery changes from what it is. I speak of the Pelican Bay Condo Resort that has just launched its own activities for construction. And I speak of the ongoing Ross University expansion that is taking place. These, I understand, are going to improve and increase the growth rate here in St. Kitts-Nevis, because our economic strategy is to grow ourselves out of this recession. But the expansion plans of the Marriott are also being vigorously pursued at this time. The Park Hyatt Hotel and the Koi Resort and Residences are now well advanced in their preparations to break ground. In fact, the Park Hyatt will break ground on the 4th day of June, and then bulldozers will be on the site the very next morning. The Kittish Hill project in particular, it has now been projected to have a portion of its hotel open before the end of the next tourist season. We expect, therefore, that over the next 18 months, hundreds of millions of dollars will be invested in St. Kitts and Nevis. And this will dramatically raise the level of economic activity and create new employment and entrepreneurial opportunities for all of our people. In other words, on the labor, our investors, our foreign and local investors, they have full confidence in your own labor administration. I emphasize that your government is also facilitating these developments by building supporting infrastructure, including the improvement of the airport facilities and the expansion and restoration of our roads, which we expect will dramatically be transformed over the next 18 months. Indeed, work on the repairing, rebuilding, and securing the roads on the Southeast Peninsula commenced, but will be accelerated with the award of the contract and mobilization of work in respect of the main road going through the peninsula. Just outside the Central Bank, at the end of the Kim Collins Highway, we already have started, as you can see, the roundabout there before we begin to actually repave the road. Even more critically, your government intends to do everything possible to ensure that the fruits of economic growth reach every single citizen, even the most vulnerable who are among us. Specifically, we will proceed with the implementation of the short-term unemployment benefit scheme in order to ensure that our workers enjoy some income even while they are unemployed and are searching for new employment opportunities. We will pass the necessary legislation to ensure that every worker in our federation enjoys health insurance under a comprehensive health insurance scheme, and that after working for a prescribed period, they would all enjoy at least a meaningful gratuity. This is labor, bringing confidence again to the people in their dignity and in the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Comrades and friends and citizens, we are determined that workers who have diligently made available their talents and their energies to their places of employment over a reasonable period of time would not go home empty-handed as they've done in times past. There is much talk about the People's Employment Program, the PEP, but the PEP is also designed to bring the benefits of economic activity to more of our people, especially our young people, who are usually most affected by unemployment. Today, I emphasize that PEP gives them an opportunity to earn an income, while at the same time acquire critical skills and experience that will enhance their competitiveness in the growing labor market. It is my government's intention that so long as we are able to obtain funding for the PEP, We will continue it until the economy expands sufficiently to absorb all of the participants in PEP and provide them with a permanent and secure place in the workplace. But we will do more than that. This PEP is no 6 months thing that they are propagandizing. The government is waiting for a proposal from a facilitator out of Jamaica who understands what is happening in a similar program in Jamaica that has become permanent. PEP must be permanent. PEP must be permanent. PEP must be permanent is the cry that we will make here for our young people. And so, in keeping with our philosophy that all of our people must share in the fruits of our development, your government has also collaborated with the SIDF to introduce the seed. We are planting seeds here in this government. Introduce the seed which provides interest-free loans ranging from $5,000 to $100,000 to finance startup businesses. Seeds are being planted by a confident and caring government of Labour. But we ain't stopping there because they can't stop us. We ain't stopping there. They can't stop us from doing good. We will continue to do good. And so, yet again, the fresh has been introduced, which subsidizes interest rates on residential mortgages of up to $500,000, $500,000 for new residential housing acquired by borrowers in the low to middle income brackets. You know why we're doing this? Labor must be for the people. It must make sure that it can supervise the movement of a people. Movement from abject poverty to working class to middle class, and middle class to be wealthy if you wish to be wealthy, for God's sake. That's what labor is about. Movement of a people from down there to up there. Comrades, citizens and friends, your Labour government is a government that delivers. Delivers, I emphasize. And during the last general elections, the debt was an issue. It was hammered by the opposition. You remember? Hammered by the opposition. And you remember what I said? Give me a 4th term and the debt talk is going to go away. I told you, give me a 4th term. And what happened now? Poof, it gone. Poof, it gone. Comrades, they no longer speak of the debt because we have dramatically reduced our debt to some 135%, and it's projected to fall even further to less than 100% of GDP within the next few months. Comrades, the fiscal deficit. Yes, sir. The fiscal deficit and the overdraft were also major issues for them in the last elections. But today, is there any deficit? Is there any deficit? There is no deficit. There is no overdraft. Poof! Deficit gone, overdraft gone. Comrades, these have been eliminated. So they now say nothing about deficit and overdraft. Inflation, it was another issue that occupied the attention of the opposition during the last elections. But the IMF is now reporting that inflation is less than 1, nearly 0. Our comprehensive strategy of subsidies and duty and tax exemptions or reductions have put the brakes on the increase in prices so that the opposition no longer speak of inflation here in our country, St. Kitts and Nevis. We have given them a dose of hush. Only those on voices can talk. Let them talk on voices. Power outages is another issue that they highlighted over and over during the last general elections. But they have seen the immense progress that we have made in improving the reliability of the electricity, so that have now lost their tongues. What they say, what the expression is? Puss eat the tongue. Puss eat the tongue. So poof, outage is gone. Comrades, this is labor. This is a confident labor. But how are they going to stop us? How are they going to stop us when you are with us? Comrades, they brought fear to the hearts of our people by the very scary images of crime and violence. They brought these before our people in partisan media outlets. But crime has been reduced through our own initiative to strengthen the leadership of the police force, and even the very positive development in our force seems no longer worthy of mention by these partisan media outlets. But we have to continue with vigilance to keep crime down. We must not let up. The police force will continue to receive the support not only of this government, but the support of the people in their communities. After all, the communities are yours. Take them back from the criminals, is what we say to you today. And so, delegates, young people, listen to me. The opposition, they're now running out of issues. So what are they going to talk about next? Is what I ask myself. Douglas again. So they are now running out of issues. So they now focus on personalities or write spurious and ridiculous articles under the name of foreign journalists and falsely claiming that the articles were published overseas. Overseas what? My foot. I said foot. Yes. This I emphasize to the comrades. And each of you must understand it. This is desperation. This is desperation politics. The opposition is failing. So they are becoming desperate. What was the answer to the thousands marching on Labor Day? Some ridiculous, stupid story coming from overseas. Nonsense. It stinks to the heavens. And so, I urge the people of this country to unite under labor. Unite under labor. I urge the people and the parties in Nevis to collaborate with the government of St. Kitts. Collaborate with the federal government is what I ask them to do. We respect the wishes of the people of Nevis as expressed at the polls only recently, and we want to make sure that the wishes of the people of St. Kitts can be similarly respected for God's sake. I know that there are many people from the opposing parties here in St. Kitts who are now feeling very disoriented. They don't know where they are. They have no clear vision of what will happen in the very unlikely, I stress that, very unlikely event that their party succeeds at the polls. They do not know who would lead if they were unlikely to become in government. And this is because their leader has already indicated publicly that he will be led by a betrayer who came from the Labour Party. They can only visualize confusion and mayhem in a destructive fight for power, as others in that same party do not support their leader in that particular regard. And so I say to this conference especially of the delegates who have come from our communities and constituencies, let us welcome those Pamites who are disoriented. We can clear your mind if you come into labor. We want to say to them, we want them to be welcomed into our midst of the Labour Party so that we can continue to be that powerful uniting force that even in its earliest years brought people of goodwill together in unity to confront the plantocracy, and which eventually won for us the right to free association, the right to vote, and so many of the rights and freedoms that are ours today as a free and freedom-loving people. It was all of this extraordinary work which combined with our own efforts, made possible rapid advancements that we have been experiencing over the past near 18 years. Comrades, citizens, and friends, earlier in this presentation, I devoted some time to an overview of the economic performance of our country because, as your leader, I have a duty to report to you on these matters. But I also did so because I believe that a full understanding of the fiscal and economic performance of our country will also help to explain the behavior of the betrayers of the cause of labor. They fully appreciated that the budget is in fact the primary instrument to which your government is able to achieve outstanding levels of performance. They understood that. They understood that with the fiscal position now stabilized and strengthened, the government would be able, in this budget and future budgets, to focus even more intensely on bringing about enhanced growth and economic recovery. for the benefit of all of our citizens. They felt that the government, if the government were allowed to continue on this path of growth and development, then they would have no chance of bringing down the lawfully elected Labour government and grabbing power for themselves and their paymasters. Yes, their paymasters. It did not matter to them that by stymieing the budget, they could have done irreparable damage to our great party and our great nation, and shatter the foundations that were so diligently and meticulously laid by our national heroes, the Right Excellent Sir Robert Llewellyn-Bradshaw, the Right Excellent Sir Paul Southwell, and the Right Excellent Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, and so many other Labour leaders and stalwarts. Those who had worked so hard, so tirelessly over the last 81 years to protect the rights of our people and to advance the cause of equality, the cause of dignity, empowerment, and social advancement in this country of ours. It did not matter to those betrayers. It did not matter to these betrayers of the cause of labor that our people would have suffered if the budget process was derailed. They wanted power, and they wanted it immediately. One of them say, "I want it now." I ain't giving the dance here today. These pawns of the enemies of labor had done their homework well. They were aware of the policy positions to tackle the seething problems among our people. Electricity, for example. Imported high cost of electricity. No fault of ours. Imported. But we were able, as a cabinet, to meticulously plan that with a conservation policy, we would reduce the bill, the electricity bill, of over 50% of our people. Those who were using less than 250 kilowatts per hour. And those who were even going below 200 kilowatts per month, they were going to see a further reduction, not in the fuel surcharge only, but also in the consumption that they were paying for. They knew that. They sat in the cabinet with us. They knew what we were planning. And that is why they are so bad. One just said. I promise I'm going to simmer down. But me ain't going to stop. And that is why I say, they knew of the policy positions that we were pursuing. They had read the relevant cabinet papers. They had listened to the presentations of the Ministry of Finance and the IMF. They had studied every investment project that came to our cabinet. And they had concluded that if this government were allowed to serve out its term in office, then the people's well-being would be so advanced that it would be impossible to move Douglas, and he would therefore stay in office indefinitely. Were I stupid? What I want to stay in office indefinitely for? And so, comrades, citizens and friends, they should have known better. because I have made it clear over and over again that I, Denzil Douglas, do not wish to die in office of the Prime Minister, and that I will put a succession plan in place to secure the orderly transfer of responsibilities to a well-prepared, competent successor based on clearly established party mechanisms that give preeminence to the will of the members of this great party, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Indeed, it was during my third term in office, preparing for the fourth term, that there was convened a special meeting of some cabinet members to consider mechanisms for succession. But it soon became apparent that the obsessive thirst for power that had consumed at least one participant in that meeting was likely to undermine any attempt to put in place a meaningful succession mechanism that would be democratic and would be based on the will of the members of our great party. And so I was asked in that meeting to take the party into the next election, the fourth election, and then hand over the office of Prime Minister to a minister who did not emerge as a prospective party leader through any party democratic processes, such as the one that we are going to have here today, later this afternoon, but who felt that because of his so-called academic qualifications, he was better suited to be Prime Minister than all the other ministers or potential successors. Well, who tell him so? Or who tell him so? We're not going to further than that. If I was on the platform, but not here, I could not agree to leave office based on a deadline set by persons who did not even have the decency to consult with the party on this particular matter. Out of order. And so, comrades, I offered instead to leave office immediately in July of 2008 and have the party decide on its own successor without me. The betrayers of the cause of labor, they backed down because they did not think that they could successfully lead this great party into the elections of 2010. However, immediately after, they initiated a campaign aimed at weakening the leadership of the party and the government, but which also threatened to divide our great party. They said they will blame Douglas from everything under the heavens. Everything under the heavens. They will demonize Douglas. And so everything was Douglas, 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 Douglas. But by the grace of God, I am still here. I am still here. The government is still here. I'm getting a little warm, you know. I am still here. The government of St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party for the people of St. Kitts-Nevis. It is still here. Looking after the interests of the people, doing enough good. And they can't stop us from doing enough good. And so any plans that I had in relation to succession had to be shelved, because I had to focus my energies now on saving our great party from chaos. And as the members of this party have always said, Douglas, PM, don't leave us until the time is right. Any plans I had to be shelved, because the energies now had to be focused on saving our great party from division. Our party that we worked so hard after 15 years to win back from a wicked PAM government. After 18 years of holding it together, they wanted to hand over our party to PAM. Oh, that won't work. Oh, that is going to work. And so the energies had to be on saving our great party from chaos and from any risk of electoral losses. At that time, I resolved that as long as the members of this party would embrace me as their leader, I would lead our party through the stormy waters created by these divisive forces before passing on the mantle of leadership to a successor. Your successor, my successor as well. And so, comrades, as late as 2011, February, March 2011, 2012, I invited two distinguished professors from the University of the West Indies and the University of the Virgin Islands to lead a retreat of our ministers aimed at fostering unity and developing ideas in relation to succession. The betrayers of the cause of labor, they delayed the proceedings by either turning up reluctantly and exceedingly late, or found some lame excuse not to attend the retreat at all. And all of this was after they had been engaged in selecting who the facilitators would have been, and also selected the very date when the retreat was going to take place. But when the retreat came, they backed away. I believe so. Comrades, it therefore became very clear to me that they were now fully under the influence of Labour's traditional detractors, and they had no interest. I want to emphasize that. They had no interest in finding solutions to our problems. And you heard what Puden said. You heard what Southwell said. The leaders of the past had difficulties among them. Did you hear anything outside there? But they had no interest in finding solutions to our problems. No interest whatsoever in fostering unity. No interest in establishing a meaningful succession mechanism. And this was very clear when they had refused to show up at several mediation attempts in December and January. Refused to show up. Had outstanding citizens of goodwill for the country and the party coming forward, arranging with them specific times and places for mediation, and they just don't show up. And this was made even clearer, as I said, when they refused to show up at several attempts at mediation. But comrades, it became very, very clear exactly where they were when a few months ago I invited one of the betrayers to a meeting in my office with a view of finding a way forward that would protect the interests of the members of our party and quell their fears and their concerns. What was his response? His response was that the only way forward was for me, the Prime Minister, to resign immediately. Resign immediately in front of my face. He wanted power immediately. He wanted power now. Want it now, he said. Marcella, let me move on. Wanted it now. It's a want to sit it down, she said. But I'm going to move on. Let's simmer down. Comrades, even more critically, it seemed to me that he was now so infected with the hate and venom of detractors of labor, the architect itself of venom, and you know who that one is. He was so infected with the hate and venom of the detractors of labor under some kind of rescue mission that his determination to humiliate and vilify Douglas had taken away his mental faculties and had overpowered all of his other emotions, except, of course, his unbridled lust for power. Comrades, I do not wish to stay in office one day longer than you, the comrades, would have me and the people of this country. Indeed, I think we need to begin the process of elevating more of our young people to positions of leadership in our party, so that they may have an even stronger voice and be prepared to join some of our more experienced comrades in the forefront of the fight against poverty, the campaign to advance the well-being of our people, and the quest to ensure that our party remains relevant and strong and continues to be a force for good and for positive change in this, our progressive federation. And so I say to you this afternoon, in the closing ebb of this leader's message, I say to you that we, the delegates here, and of course, the supporters of labor, we must leave this conference with a tremendous sense of unity and fraternity as we ward off, yet again, all threats to our great party and move on to resoundingly defeat the opposition at the polls, because you know and they know they cannot defeat us. Last year, and the people always know what is right. Last year, the people came here. Delegates came here in their numbers, ready to take action. The cry came out from the floor. Let there be unity. And so the action was delayed because we really wanted to make sure that we are a united fraternal group ready to take on the opposition anytime we ring the bell. It's only we who can defeat ourselves. Do you know what burden has been lifted when those who tried to create disunity have eventually bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye? Comrades, when we would have done this, defeat the enemy at the polls, or when we have put in place all the mechanisms and processes to ensure that victory is at hand, with or without my own involvement as your leader, I would feel free to demit office with the comforting knowledge that I have achieved my goal of ensuring that not only would be the country have grown stronger under my leadership, but that this great party, the force for good that we love so dearly, would have been left ever stronger and even more secure, as well as a party of the people. Comrades, we must root out all seeds of disunity in our party. And we must move forward with the task of defending your great party. I keep saying, no matter where you are, whether you are in the highways or the byways, whether you are in the alleyways, in church, in school, in your business places, you must talk fast in defense of your party and government. You must talk loud and long. And you must talk last and then talk again. We must make sure that we move forward with the task of defending your great party, with a view of repeating that victory that we secured in January of 2010. Let us continue the work. Let us continue the work of building and transforming our society and creating here in our beloved federation a strong, diversified, developed economy that offers a plethora of opportunities for our people to successfully pursue even their most demanding ambitions that there are among us. An even more independent, respected, and self-reliant nation is what we ask for, that will participate meaningfully in an integrated regional economy, one that will continue to earn the respect of the international community and the country, most importantly, a haven of peace, security, and happiness for all of our citizens, residents, and visitors and friends. I am going to close now. How I hate to close. But I must close. And so, comrades, citizens, and friends, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. What would I be without you? I ask myself every morning. What would I be without those 8 loving mothers who came here earlier, and whom we honored today? All of our women are worthy of that kind of commendation. What would I be without them? What would I be without the Brendas of this world? What would I be without the young people who have thrilled us to the core with their performances this morning? Put your hands together for the young people of Labour. There must be no stopping of them now. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the support and the confidence that you have reposed in the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, especially during these very trying times. We will never take your support for granted. I have said it every night on the platform, and I say it here. We shall never take your support for granted. And so, comrades, let us now go forth from this conference. Let us go forth with more full confidence and determination as we labor to improve the quality of life of all of our citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. And don't forget, defend your party. Defend your party. Talk first. Talk hard. Talk long. Talk last. And talk again. God bless you. Long live St. Kitts and Nevis. Long live the comrades of Labour. Long live the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Long live the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union. God bless you. Thank you very, very much.